I'm going to cover a couple of topics fairly quickly, as quickly as I can. And the first I want to talk about is the orchid propagation video that I did. That was an unmitigated disaster. And I'm not ashamed to admit my disasters, my failures. And in that case, I'd used a method that I'd found that another YouTuber had done, and he had done successfully. UT 33200, I believe. You had said you had never seen it before, and unfortunately for me, it didn't work. But I have two plants, one red, one white, and I'm going to attempt a different method, but I'm going to take that video down because I don't want anybody else to do that. What I'm doing right now is I'm just panning my sweet potato bed. As you see there, there are some mustard greens still growing, and what happened was I had left some of my mustards to go to seed so that I could collect the seeds, and some of those had fallen, and those sprung up when we had the most recent rains. The other thing you're seeing here, this particular sweet potato, I put this one down today. It had, well, what I do is I tend to overwinter my sweet potato plants so that I can have slips growing. I grow them as house plants, and then that way I don't have to run around trying to find slips when the season comes. So this is one that I just put down this morning, and as these vines run, of course you cover them, and the others that you see, those were already here. I'm a little bit behind on getting these sweet potatoes going and also cleaning up the other weeds in the bed. I do the process where many of you probably do, where you just use those weeds to fertilize your garden. I just drop them in place as long as there's no seeds in them, and then I can use those as living mulch fertilizer. The last thing I want to show you here is my harvest, my most recent harvest of peppers and tomatoes, and I'm very pleased with these. My bell peppers are going extremely slow, and I think I need to focus more on phosphorus versus the nitrogen with those. I think that's my issue. And then I also had one of these, this one here. This appears to be that blossom in rot. And that occurs when you don't use enough calcium. I tend to do container gardening for most of my plants, but for things such as my sweet potatoes, and then of course for trees such as my peach tree, those things are in ground. And what happened was that I apparently didn't put enough calcium. I'm going to go ahead and show you the good, the bad, the ugly. I got to get out here. There's a lot of weeding I need to do, but I do look at this as a bonus because these weeds are going to serve as fertilizer, free fertilizer for my garden. I'm going to take that other video down I mentioned earlier about the orchids. I don't want anyone else to follow my example because that was a failure for me, and I'll try to find another way of doing that, of propagating that orchid.